Okay, so now we are going to continue still on this chapter, which is we are going to look at from the beginning of the chapter. Okay, so I didn't explain to you the outcome yet. Okay, so for the chapter homeostasis, so these are the learning outcomes. So you in this chapter you should know what is homeostasis, okay, and then describe the importance and mechanism of homeostatic control system, explain the negative feedback mechanism in controlling blood glucose level, explain osmotic processes for thermoregulation, body temperature, involving form, function, and behavior. So this one we are going to look at for different animals. And then different structure and function of kidneys. This one we have looked at. Describe formation of urine. So saya baca ni you should, okay, macam ni lah. Yang ni kita dah belajar dah. Okay, macam ni, macam kidney apa, urine macam mana terbentuk kan. Alright. And then explain the role of ADH and aldosterone in urine formation, and explain the positive feedback mechanism, which is the process of uterus contraction and the release of milk by oxytocin. Okay, so 3.1 definition and importance of mechanism and mechanism of homeostasis. Okay, so you have Homer here of Simpson. Okay, so the sensor. So Homer ni watak yang selalunya dia blur je kan, alright. So this is, I don't know whether you are familiar with the Simpson or not. Kartun lama, alright. So sensor. Alright, so this is the brain. So you have two types of stimulus here. Okay, so feedback mechanism. So this is the normal, for example, when we are looking at body temperature lah kan. So body temperature. So there must be a stimulus. So you are in an environment that is really cold, for example, kan. So you are shivering. Ini sebab dia tak ada explanation, tapi tak apalah. Okay, stimulus, temperature drops. The surrounding temperature drops. Itu stimulus. The stimulus will be sent to the brain through impulse, for example, and then detected. Sebelum tu kena detect by the sensor lah kan. Sensor ini macam pelik je gambar dia, and then the information is generated, and then the brain will figure out the right response and send to the effector and causes, for example, shivering kan. So shivering to increase your body temperature kan. Increase your body temperature. You are producing heat to warm the body, for example. Okay, so when the surrounding so you have the sensor. So the outside temperature is hot, which is the stimulus, and then you have the sensor to detect, and then the information is integrated in the brain to send out the right mechanism as the response, send to the response the effector. For example, when you are feeling hot, it causes you to sweat, for example. Okay, so the definition of homeostasis. The word homeostasis is derived from the Greek word which is homeos, which is same, it stands for same. Stasis means standing, okay, to maintain the same condition within the body. Okay, so physiological processes where, this is the definition of homeostasis, physiological processes where organism maintain a constant and balanced physical and chemical factors. So these are the two factors within the body needs to be maintained at the normal set point within the internal environment, dalam badan awak lah. Okay, so physical factors. Okay, physical factors such as temperature, body temperature, blood pressure, osmotic pressure. Okay, the example of chemical factors, which is your blood pH. Okay, your blood pH has to maintain at 7.4, body temperature at 37 degrees, kan. So blood pressure ada range dia yang kita akan tengok dalam chapters blood circulation nanti. Okay, and then concentration of sugar and salt in the blood and tissue fluid. That is chemical factors. Okay, chemical factors. So you have to know, badan kita kena maintain these two factors, physical factors, chemical factors. Example of physical factors you have to know, examples of chemical factors you have to know. Okay, and what are the normal set point. So internal environment, what is internal environment? Environment of surrounding cells such as tissues and that envelops each cells. Okay, so organism use homeostasis to maintain a steady state or internal balance regardless of external environment. For example, human body maintains constant temperature of 37 degrees. Tak kisahlah awak dekat tempat yang ada snow, yang suhu dia drops to 0 degrees Celsius. For example, your body needs to find a mechanism to make sure your body is maintained at 37. Macam tadi, kan, outside temperature is really cold, so through homeostasis your body will shiver, for example, to generate heat. Okay. So if you are outside kat luar kan, suhu is 40 degrees for example, alright, so your body needs to maintain at 37 degrees. Your body cannot increase further than 37 ikut suhu kat luar 40 degrees. Sebab apa? Nanti enzim dalam badan akan denature, for example. Okay, will not function optimally, right? So your body will sweat, right, to cool down the body. So that is an example of homeostasis. So blood pH, which is it has to maintain at 7.4, kan, within the unit of 0.1 pH unit of 7.4. Maksudnya lebih kurang 7.4 macam itulah kan, plus minus 0.1. If you write 7 pH, salah. If you write 7.2, salah. If you write 7.6, salah. Right? So better you write 7.4. So concentration of glucose in the bloodstream is within the range of 70 to 110 gram of glucose per 100 ml of blood. Okay, so these are example of the normal set point within the body for body temperature, for blood pH, for blood glucose level. Okay. Okay, so importance of homeostasis. Organism becomes less dependent on the external environment. Organism can live in a wider range of habitats, and organism can adjust its metabolic rate according to its requirement. Okay, so so this is really important. So kalau tengok manusia, kita akan jumpa manusia yang duduk dekat tempat yang sejuk, dekat desert, dekat all over different types of environment. So why? Because through homeostasis, our body will make sure that our body can adapt to that different situation. To the cold environment, macam mana body nak adapt. To the hot environment, macam mana body nak adapt. Okay. And also to regulate the metabolic rate, okay, of the cell, okay, according to the cell requirement, according to body requirement. Okay. And then mechanism of homeostasis. Mechanism of homeostasis moderates changes in the internal environment. Mechanism of homeostasis moderate means that through homeostasis mechanism, it regulates changes in the internal environment. So if the internal environment changes, either the physical factor change, either the chemical factors change. So through homeostasis mechanism, so the normal set point akan diachievekan balik semula. Okay. Kalau ada berlaku perubahan ataupun deviates, okay, deviate from the normal set point, increase ke decrease ke from the normal set point. Kan? So through homeostatic mechanism, it will bring back to the normal set point for the physical or for the chemical factors. Okay. So every homeostatic control system contains the following part, which is the sensor. The function of the sensor is to detect any change or any stimulus. So if your body temperature increase, demam, for example, what is the mechanism? Okay, if you are eating so much sugar, your blood glucose level increases, for example. So what is the mechanism? What is the sensor that will detect that change in the chemical factor, that change in the physical factor? So that sensor will send the information through electrical impulse through the neurons until it reaches the control center, the integrating center, which is the brain. Okay, so the brain that defines the changes and generate output. Okay, so information tu akan dihantar ke brain untuk brain tu analyze. Okay, what is happening, what is the corrective mechanism to be carried out. Okay, and then that information is sent to the effector through either hormones or impulse that execute the corrective action. Okay, so for a given variable, whatever physical factor or chemical factor that we have looked at, for example, okay, such as body temperature, such as blood glucose level, for example. So fluctuation above or below a normal set point, okay, serve as a stimulus. Kalau pH becomes acidic. Okay, pH become acidic, for example. Okay, below than 7.4. Alright. So what is the mechanism that will occur? Okay. So fluctuation above or below a normal set point serve as the stimulus, the input. So these are detected by sensor receptor. Then to the integrating center, which is the brain that defines changes which trigger a response. The response return the variable to the normal set point. Okay, so stimulus, perubahan apa yang berlaku pada physical or chemical factors. Okay, dia deviate from the normal set point. Okay, kurang ataupun lebih daripada normal set point. Kan? So this will be detected by sensor. The receptor send the information to the integrating center, the brain. So information is sent usually in the form of impulse, okay, through the nervous system, and then from the brain send the information to the effector. So this can be in the form of impulse through the nervous system or in the form of neuron. In the form of hormones, the release of hormones, for example, okay, to the effector. Okay, so this is the feedback loop. Okay, so sama ada apa? True negative feedback. Okay, negative feedback. Kalau factor tu increase, so dia akan decreasekan balik. Kalau factor tu decrease, so dia akan increasekan balik. Ataupun true positive feedback. Okay, kalau positive feedback, factor tu increase, dia akan increasekan lagi. Kalau factor tu decrease, dia akan decreasekan lagi. So tengoklah, bergantung pada situation. So whether true negative feedback or true positive feedback. Okay, so for example, the mechanism here, dia bagi analogi untuk maintain the normal room temperature. So normal room temperature is set. Dia mesti ada setkan dia pada satu set point. In this case is 20 degrees Celsius. So that is the normal set point for room temperature in this case. Okay, so if the room temperature increase, panas kan, orang masuk dalam bilik tu baru nak ada kelas. So orang yang masuk tu bawa dia punya body temperature, dia punya heat release kan, ada 30 orang masuk dalam bilik tu. So the room will become a bit hot. Okay, so this is detected by the thermostat. Okay, the thermostat will turn on. Sorry, the thermostat turns heater off. Okay, the thermostat will turn off the heater. Okay, so heater ni untuk release heat kan, release heat. So bila heater turn off, so room temperature decreases and back to the normal set point. Okay, so vice versa kan, kalau room temperature decrease kan, room temperature decrease, sejuk, right? So the thermostat will turn on heater and then the heater will release heat to the room and then room temperature increases back to the normal set point. Okay, so it says here a non-living example of temperature regulation. Control of room temperature. Regulating room temperature depends on the control center, which is a thermostat that detects temperature change and activate mechanism that reverse the changes. Okay, so this is an analogy lah kan, untuk untuk homeostasis, it gives you room temperature, right? So all homeostatic control processes includes regulatory mechanism that use the principle of negative feedback and also positive feedback. Ada dua lah. Alright. Okay, so this is the normal condition. Okay, so if the normal condition increase above the normal set point, it is detected by the receptor, send the information to the control center. Okay, so the control center will analyze what is happening, can send the corrective mechanism. So if they nak decide to increase the factor, it is through positive feedback. Okay, increasekan lagi. So factor value increase accelerated. Okay, so transmission of the nervous impulse or secretion of hormone. So daripada brain ni, corrective mechanism dia akan send information tu dalam bentuk apa? Impulse through nervous system ataupun the secretion of hormone, right? If hormone to the target organ lah, sama juga impulse to the target organ, daripada one neuron to another neuron until it reaches the target organ. Causes, for example, the contraction of muscle, for example, that is impulse. The impulse reaches a certain gland and causes the gland to secrete hormone, for example. Okay. So effector or target organ, right? So corrective mechanism, kalau ini kita tengok untuk negative feedback, if the factor increase, it decreases back to the normal set point, that is negative feedback. And vice versa lah, kalau normal condition decrease, it is detected by the receptor stimulus tu, and then sent to the control center. And then from the brain, so the corrective mechanism is sent in the form of either nervous impulse or the secretion of hormone to the target organ or effector organ to carry out the corrective mechanism, increase the factor back to the normal set point. So this is negative feedback. Kalau increase, decreasekan. Kalau decrease, dia increasekan. Okay. Kalau positive feedback, kalau decrease, dia decreasekan lagi. Itu positive feedback. Okay. Okay, so homeostasis in animal and humans rely largely on negative feedback, which helps to return a variable to a normal range. So positive feedback amplifies a stimulus and does not usually contribute to homeostasis in animal. So in animal, positive feedback loops do not play a major role in homeostasis, but instead help drive processes to completion. Tadilah macam childbirth kan, takkanlah nak buat separuh jalan, macam tu kan. So mesti completekan proses tu. That is fungsi positive feedback. Okay, to drive process to completion. In biological system, homeostasis is usually achieved by negative feedback. Selalunya kan, selalunya untuk achieve the normal set point is through negative feedback. Your body temperature, okay, 37. Kalau increase, dia akan decreasekan. Your blood glucose level, kalau increase, dia akan decreasekan. For example, your pH, kalau blood pH drops, dia akan increasekan balik. That is negative feedback. Okay, so we are going to look at detail of negative feedback mechanism. So these are the three examples that we are going to look at for negative feedback mechanism, which is blood glucose regulation, thermoregulation, and osmoregulation. Osmoregulation we have looked at. Okay, so blood glucose regulation. So it says here glucose. Okay, glucose is a major fuel for cellular respiration and key source of carbon skeleton for biosynthesis. So this one we have looked at the significance of glucose last semester. Okay, it is used as to generate energy for cellular respiration. Glucose is also to synthesize other molecules. Okay. Alright, so blood glucose concentration is regulated by negative feedback. So this is the normal set point of blood glucose level. So excuse me. Okay, so this is the normal blood glucose level. Okay, so relies on antagonistic effects of insulin and glucagon. So these are the two major hormones involved in regulating blood glucose level. So liver is the site for insulin and glucagon action. Okay, so this is the target organ for these two hormones. So these two hormone is produced and secreted by the organ pancreas. Okay, pancreas. The pancreas secretes the two hormone, but the target organ is the liver. Okay, so glucagon and insulin. So both produced in the pancreas. Okay, so pancreas has clusters of endocrine glands called islets of Langerhans. Which is, you have two different cells. Okay, you have the alpha cells which produce glucagon, you have the beta cells which produces insulin. This one you have to remember. Okay, alpha, glucagon, beta, insulin, from the cluster of cell which is the islet of Langerhans. Yeah, okay, islets of Langerhans. So ada alpha cell, ada beta cell. Alpha glucagon, beta insulin. So another function of insulin, apart from secreting hormone, it produces also digestive enzyme, kan? So that is for another chapter lah, that we are not going to look at for our syllabus, right? Alright, so mechanism of action of insulin and glucagon. Alright, so kita ada dua situation here. Situation A, situation B, sorry. Okay, situation A, what happened? When blood glucose level falls, puasa lah contohnya, you are fasting, you are not eating anything. Okay, so what happened is alpha cell of pancreas releases the hormone glucagon. Your blood glucose level is lacking sugar, you have no energy. Okay, tak ada source of glucose to generate energy, for example. Okay, so alpha cell of pancreas releases glucagon into the blood. So the glucagon from the pancreas goes to the target organ, which is the liver cell, and causes the increased breakdown of glycogen into glucose, which is the process is glycogenolysis. Lysis, pecah, break the bond. Okay, glycogen is the macromolecule where the monomers are glucose. So this glycogen are stored in the liver initially. Okay, so glycogen stored in the liver will be broken down, okay, into its monomer by the instruction from the hormone glucagon. Okay, through the process of glycogenolysis, increase the conversion. So this is one mechanism, satu mechanism, kesan daripada glucagon. Another kesan yang kedua, okay, kesan yang kedua, the second effect is that the glucagon causes the increase the conversion of amino acid or fat into glucose, kan? Sebab awak tak makan sekarang ni, you are not eating anything. Okay, awak tak makan nasi, awak tak makan roti, whatever, you are hungry, you are lacking energy. Okay, so through this process, punca yang pertama dia akan break glycogen. Punca yang kedua dia akan ambil source daripada protein, kan? So protein ada amino acid, so the amino acid and also fat stored in the adipose tissue will be converted into glucose. Okay, will be converted into glucose. Another cara to increase the blood glucose level. So as a result, blood glucose level increase and return back to the normal set point. Tapi awak ingat ya, glucagon adalah hormon. Dia bukan enzim. Okay, bukan glucagon yang break glycogen jadi glucose. Glucagon adalah hormon yang instruct liver cell untuk melakukan ataupun undergo reaction that break glycogen into glucose. Okay, it is not the hormone that breaks the glycogen into glucose. It is the function of the hormone to instruct the liver cell to undergo these two reactions. Okay, convert glycogen into glucose and also convert amino acid and fat into glucose. Another situation is when blood glucose level increase. awak makan dengan banyaknya, awak makan nasi, awak makan kek, awak makan roti, awak makan biskut, whatever, so your blood glucose level increase. Okay, so this causes the beta cell of the pancreas releases insulin into the blood. So the pancreas releases insulin by the beta cell, pergi kepada dia punya target organ, liver, and also body cells, which is the muscle cell. So blood, in the blood you have plenty of glucose, and this glucose will instruct the cell of the muscle and the cell of the liver, okay, the cell of the liver, to take up glucose and stores the glucose as glycogen. Okay, so ini satu cara. Okay, salah satu cara untuk reduce blood glucose level. Another cara yang kedua, okay, cara yang kedua adalah inhibit breakdown of glycogen into glucose. So dia, maksudnya hormon insulin ni dia antagonistic dengan glucagon tadi kan. Tadi glucagon causes glycogenolysis, tapi insulin causes the inhibition of glycogenolysis. Dia tak bagi glycogen breakdown kepada glucose, inhibit glycogenolysis, tak boleh. Another mechanism yang ketiga, another tindak balas dia adalah it causes the cell to inhibit conversion of amino acid or fat into glucose. Alright, so nampak antagonistic effect of the two hormone. So therefore blood glucose level decreases and return back to the normal set point. So remember, insulin is hormone. It is not enzyme. It is not the enzyme to cause glucose to be joined together and to form glycogen. Ni lah terbalik kat atas ni, okay? Okay. Okay, so insulin is hormone. It instructs. Okay, it sends information to the liver cell. It sends information to the muscle cell to cause glucose from the blood to be taken up into your body cells. Okay, so this is your body cells. Okay, so ini ada darah, glucose concentration increase kan. Okay, so insulin akan pergi dekat receptor pada sel and causes receptor of the cell to take up glucose kan. So barulah akan berlaku whatever reaction, glucose join together to form glycogen to be stored in the liver cell, for example, take up by the muscle cell to undergo cellular respiration kan, to be used as energy. Okay, so if you look at this diagram, so this shows the mechanism of blood glucose level. So it is maintained at 70 to 110 milligram per glucose per 100 ml. Okay, so if blood glucose level rises, so what happen? Makan banyak kan, blood glucose level increase. So it causes beta cell of the pancreas to secrete insulin. Okay, bila awak jawab kan, tak payah tulis hormon pun tak apa kan. So secrete insulin into the blood. So insulin goes to the target cell. In this case is muscle cell, for example, or the liver cell. Okay, so insulin enhance the transport of glucose into body cells and stimulate the liver cell to store glucose as glycogen. Stimulate dia bukan enzim yang akan cantumkan glucose jadi glycogen. Dia instruct, okay? It sends information to the target cells to cause glucose to be converted as glycogen, okay? Stores as glycogen. So so therefore blood glucose level falls to the normal set point 70 to 100, okay? So another situation ni situation yang pertama. Situation yang kedua B, okay? So blood glucose level falls, awak puasa tak makan. Okay, contohnya after fasting. So the alpha cells of the pancreas secretes glucagon into the blood. Glucagon goes to the target organ, which is the liver cell, and causes the liver cell to break glycogen in the liver to release glucose into the blood. So blood glucose level rise to the normal set point. Okay, two condition there. Okay, so that was blood glucose level. So now we are going to look at thermoregulation. Okay, so thermoregulation, homeostatic process for thermoregulation involve form, function, and behavior. Okay, form, function, and behavior. So it is a process by which animal maintains their body temperature within a normal range. Okay, so the importance at high body temperature. So this reduced efficiency of enzymatic reaction at low body temperature slows down metabolic activity. So your body has to maintain at the normal body temperature 37 degrees. So kalau awak kat tempat yang sejuk 0 degrees tadi, takkanlah badan awak nak drop to 0 degrees Celsius. Tak boleh. Sebab apa? At low body temperature, enzyme will not function. Enzyme in your body will not be active. Kan? Enzyme tak aktif. Not active. Okay, so how can body reaction how can cells in your body do reaction, okay, without catalyzed by enzyme? Okay, so same goes to when body temperature is high. So when body temperature is too high, above 37, 38, or the mum go to 40 even, cannot. So that is really dangerous. So so this reduce the efficiency of enzymatic reaction also. Okay, so for under thermoregulation, we are going to look at these two terms. Okay, endothermy and ectothermy. Okay, so it says here, heat for thermoregulation can come from either internal metabolism or external environment. Okay, so ectotherms tolerate greater variation in internal temperature, while endotherms are more active at greater range of external temperature. What is ectotherm, endotherms? These are animals that we grouped them, okay, based on how they will generate their body temperature, how they maintain their normal body temperature. For ectotherms, kan, ectotherms ni contohnya frogs, kan, frogs dia boleh duduk kat tempat yang bila dia kat tempat yang sejuk, badan dia akan ikut suhu sejuk. Bila dia nak badan dia panas, dia akan cari tempat yang panas, kan. So for ectotherm, they can tolerate greater variation in internal temperature, greater variation. So badan dia boleh drop suhu, badan dia boleh increase suhu, kan. Tengok keadaan environment yang dia nak tu. Okay, kalau endotherm, we are endotherm. Human or mammals are endotherms, kan. So we generate our body temperature through metabolism. Okay, so they are they are active at greater range of external temperature. Tak kisahlah suhu kat luar tu macam mana, kan, panas ke sejuk ke, badan kita tak dipengaruhi oleh suhu kat luar tu. So kita boleh je aktif pada mana-mana keadaan, sebab badan kita akan ada dia punya own mechanism to make sure it is maintained at 37 degrees. Okay, so endothermic animal. Okay, endothermic animal generate heat by metabolism. Okay, so for example, for endothermic animals such as human or other mammals, birds, and a few non-avian reptiles, some fishes, and many insect species. So these are example of endothermic animals. Okay, so animals maintain stable body temperature even in large temperature fluctuation in the environment. So dia boleh duduk kat tempat yang sejuk, dia boleh duduk kat tempat yang panas. Okay, so in a cold environment, an endotherm generate enough heat to keep its body substantially warmer than its surrounding. So mechanism dia boleh shiver, for example, kan, dia boleh shiver, dia boleh huddle together. Alright, so this is to generate heat or retain heat in the body. Okay, so kalau suhu kat luar panas, kan, so endotherm may have mechanism to cool up their body, enabling them to withstand heat loss, such as, for example, sweating, kan. So or for animal yang macam dogs, they will panting, julurkan lidah keluar, kan, to increase surface area so that evaporation occurs. Okay, so that is the different mechanism of endothermic animal to maintain a stable body temperature. So endothermy is more energetically expensive than endothermy. Haiwan yang berdarah panas ni, okay, dia memerlukan lebih banyak sumber tenaga. Dia perlukan makanan yang lebih banyak supaya untuk maintain the constant body temperature. The food that is eaten by that animal, okay, will be used for cellular respiration to generate energy, to generate heat for that animal. Okay, so to make sure it is maintained at 37 degrees Celsius. Okay, so endotherms need to consume more food compared to ectotherm. So and you must compare the endotherm and ectotherm of similar size lah. Tak boleh lah nak compare gajah punya metabolic rate dengan katak punya metabolic rate. So mesti of the same size. Let's say you are taking a frog and a mouse, kan? A frog and a mouse. So mana yang akan lagi makan banyak? Obviously the mouse. Okay. So that the mouse can maintain the body temperature at 37 degrees. Okay, it says here you have an endotherms. Okay, endotherms, this bird. Okay, so great blue heron. Okay, this bird species, H sepatutnya small letter. Okay, spread its wings, exposing more of its body to the sun warmth. Okay, so dia akan spread dia punya wings so that you have more surface area exposed. Okay, more surface area exposed so that dia boleh absorb heat from the sun macam itulah. Okay, exposing more of its body to the sun's warmth. So bird regulates their body temperature physiologically. Okay, however, they also have behavioral adaptation that help maintain body temperature. So ada behavioral adaptation juga akan dilakukan oleh birds ni lah, dengan cara dia spread dia punya wing ni adalah physiological. Okay, behavior adaptation. Okay. Okay, so tadi endothermy, so now is ectothermy. Okay, ectothermic animals gain most of their heat from external source. So suhu badan animal ni dipengaruhi oleh external temperature. Alright, so animals do not generate enough heat for thermoregulation. So for this animal, they do not depend on metabolic rate. Tak boleh. Okay, metabolic rate. So usually tolerate larger fluctuation in the internal temperature. So suhu dia boleh increase tiba-tiba, suhu dia boleh decrease tiba-tiba, right? Depends on the temperature, the environment of the temperature. So many adjust body temperature by behavioral means such as seeking out shades or basking in the sun. So kalau dia berjemur, dia nak increase body temperature lah. Kalau dia nak sejuk, dia carilah tempat yang teduh. Alright, so ectotherms generally consume much less food than endotherms of equivalent size because of their heat sources is largely environmental. Like I've just give you an example. You have to compare animal of the same size, a frog and a mice, for example. Okay, so the mice obviously will eat more because the mice needs to generate more energy, more heat through cellular respiration. But for the frog, to increase its body temperature, dia akan cari tempat yang panas, basking in the sun, for example. Dia carilah tempat yang panas, berjemur ke whatever, right? So from the descriptions of ectotherms and endotherms, all ectotherms are poikilotherms. Okay, an animal whose body temperature varies with its environment. Okay, all endotherms are homeotherms, which is an animal has a relatively constant body temperature. So this term you have to remember. Okay, the definition. Okay, so in this diagram you have a lizard. Okay, so lizard ectotherms. So the iguana, nama dia iguana, sorry. Okay, increase its body temperature by sunning itself. So in this case, the lizard wants to increase its body temperature. So dia akan cari tempat yang panas, right? To absorb heat from the sun radiation. Okay, so balancing heat gain and heat loss. Okay, so balancing heat gain and heat loss. So thermoregulation depends on animals' ability to control the exchange of heat within its environment. Organism exchange heat by 4 physical processes. This one you have to remember. Conduction, convection, the 4 physical processes for heat gain and heat loss, radiation and evaporation. Okay. So conduction, what is conduction? All these you have learned in physics. I'm not going to go through in details. Okay, so description, direct transfer of heat between molecules of object in contact with each other. So for example, tadi lizard sits on a hot rock. Okay, so the hot rock, the heat from the hot rock will be transferred directly to lizard through conduction. Kan, awak usik benda yang panas, heat daripada benda yang panas tu terus serap ke tangan awak contohnya. That is conduction. So for convection, transfer of heat by the movement of air or liquid past a surface. Okay, so lizard tu tadi dia nak body dia sejuk, so dia carilah kawasan yang berangin, kan? Berangin. So when a breeze contribute to heat loss from lizard's dry skin, so the heat from the body of the lizard will be removed by the movement of breeze. Dekat body of the lizard tu, or when blood moves heat from the body core to the extremities. So these are example of convection. Okay. Radiation, emission of electromagnetic wave by all objects warmer than absolute zero. Okay, that is radiation. Radiate lah. Our body radiate heat as well. Okay, apart from the sun, radiate heat as well. Okay, so for example, a lizard absorb heat from the sun. Okay, and also radiate a smaller amount of energy to the surrounding. Evaporation, removal of heat from the surface of a liquid that is losing some of its molecule as gas. So evaporation of water from a lizard moist surface to the environment as a cooling effects. Okay, so ini adalah 4 cara lah. So conduction, convection, okay, convection, radiation and evaporation. So you have to know example for each one, how it occurs. Okay, so the essence of thermoregulation is maintaining rate of heat gain that equals rate of heat loss. So animal do this through mechanism that either reduces heat exchange overall or that favors heat exchange. Nak hilangkan haba daripada badan ataupun nak ambil haba daripada surrounding to increase body temperature. Macam tu lah. Okay, favor heat exchange. Okay, reduce heat exchange or favor heat exchange. So 6 general adaptation of animal is insulation. Okay, circulatory adaptation, this one relating to blood circulation in the blood vessels. Cooling by evaporative heat loss, macam sweating. Behavioral response, okay, adjusting metabolic heat production and physiological thermostat. So these are 6 adaptation of animals. Ada few more slide lah. Sekejap 1, 2, 3, 4. We have another about 11 slides. Can we habiskan, boleh tak? Can or cannot?
Can, madam.
Yang lain? Saya nak habiskan kalau boleh dalam session ni lah. Kalau tak boleh, bagi tahu. Boleh sekarang dah pukul 9.53. Those of you that feels they have other things to do, they may leave. But those of you that wants to listen until the end of the session, then you can stay. Okay, saya tak paksa sebab dah habis masa. Okay, tapi saya nak habiskan. Tapi siapa yang tak nak stay, boleh leave. Okay, so so I will continue sampai habis chapter ni lah. Alright. Okay, so for each mechanism, for each adaptation, you have to know how it occurs and also example. Okay, so this is still under thermoregulation, but this time is how animal adapt. Adaptation of animals. Okay, adaptation of animal on heat loss or heat gain. Okay, so ada 6 lah. So first one is insulation. So major thermoregulatory adaptation in mammals and bird. Paling banyak lah. Kita ada layers of fat contohnya to insulate body temperature. Okay. So reduces heat flow between animals and its environment. Okay, so ini untuk memastikan heat daripada badan tak keluar dengan senang. Okay, so for birds they have feathers. Okay, so most land mammals and birds, so rising fur or feather due to cold temperature, fur or feather. Okay, so this is to retain heat lah, retain heat in the body, right? And then fats, human have fats, so rely on fat for insulation. Okay, so orang yang kurus bila awak duduk kat tempat yang sejuk, so awak akan rasa senang, sejuk berbandingkan kalau orang yang berisi sikit, dia akan rasa okey je temperature ni, macam tu. Okay, sebab dia ada that layer of fat. Okay, so and then blubber. Okay, so blubber untuk haiwan, we don't have blubber for animals only. So marine animals such as whales and also walruses. So with blubber, body core temperature can be maintained around these temperatures, 36 to 38 layers of fat. Okay, for animals that live in really cold temperature, really cold, tempat yang ada ais banyak kan, in the Antarctic and both poles of the earth tu kan, so they have, for this animal they have blubber, duduk kat tempat yang sangat sejuk. Okay, so that is insulation. Okay, fur, feathers, fat and blubber. Second adaptation is circulatory adaptation. This is relating to blood vessels, blood flow. Okay, blood flow in the blood vessels, in the artery and also vein. Okay, so regulation of blood flow near the body surface significantly affects thermoregulation. Many endotherms, okay, and some ectotherms can alter the amount of blood flowing between the body core and the skin, okay, and the skin via vasodilation and vasoconstriction. Vasodilation is blood vessel dilate. When blood vessels dilate, more blood from the body core flows to the surface. So when more blood flows to the skin, so more heat will be released from the body. But if your body wants to conserve heat within the body core, so your blood vessel will constrict. Okay, so this will flow less blood to the skin and less heat to be released to the surrounding. Kan? So that is vasoconstriction. Countercurrent exchange, yang ni kita akan tengok lah. Countercurrent is when you have fluid flows in opposite direction that involve exchange of something. So in this case, blood flows in the artery and blood flows in the vein in opposite direction and involves the exchange of heat. Okay, exchange of heat. Okay, so first one, vasodilation and vasoconstriction. In vasodilation, blood flows in the skin increases. Blood vessels increase lah kan, artery increase kan, so blood flow increase. Okay, so blood flows in to the skin increases, facilitating heat loss. Okay, heat loss by radiation, conduction and convection kan, due to widening of superficial blood vessels. What is superficial blood vessels? Blood vessels that is near to the skin lah kan, near to the body extremities. Okay, body extremities, macam tu. Okay, and then vasoconstriction, blood vessels, the artery constrict. So this causes less blood to flow to the skin, and then this is to reduce heat loss from the body core. Okay, so due to decreasing the diameter of superficial blood vessels. So ingat kalau vasodilation to increase heat loss, vasoconstriction to lower heat loss. Okay, so next is counter current exchange. So ingat still this bawah blood circulation, blood flow. Okay, dia melibatkan blood vessels juga, which is artery and also vein. Okay, so in many birds and mammals, reducing heat loss from the body relies on counter current exchange. Okay, counter current exchange mechanism that counter current exchange mechanism. Okay, and transfer of heat between fluid that are flowing in opposite direction. Fluid in this case is the blood lah, blood in the artery and vein that flows in the opposite direction. Okay, so the arrangement of blood vessels allows counter current exchange to occur. So in a counter current heat exchanger, ini nama susunan blood vessels tu. Susunan blood vessels, artery and vein, kan, that is adjacent to each other and allows blood to flows in the opposite direction, kan. So ini is the body core. Okay, terbalik ni arrow dia. Okay, artery ni macam tu. Okay, so artery will bring heat along together, dan the heat will be transferred to the vein. Okay, to the vein. Macam tu lah kan. So kita tengok mekanisme kejap lagi. Ni saya tukar balik arrow dia macam betul tadi. Ya, macam tu. Okay. Okay, so in counter current heat exchanger, the artery and veins are located adjacent to each other. Dia bersebelahan, artery and vein. Because blood flows through the artery and vein in opposite direction, this arrangement allows heat exchange to be remarkably efficient. Okay, so arteri akan bawa darah yang baru daripada jantung, kan. So bila arteri bawa darah daripada jantung, dia juga bawa heat. Dia bawa juga heat metabolism. Okay, so the heat from that blood in the artery will be directly transferred to vein. Okay, so warm blood passes through arteries will transfer heat to the colder blood in the vein. Okay, so is for these two animals, for example, Canada goose and also this dolphin. So these two animals, they live in cold area, the tempat yang ada winter, for example. Okay, so they need to retain body heat. Okay, they need to retain body heat. They need to retain body heat in the body core. Okay, so if you look at this diagram here, you have the artery, you have the vein. Okay, so this is from the body core. Macam tu, kan, dalam badan. Okay, dalam badan, dalam jantung, kan. So darah daripada jantung keluar melalui arteri, bring along body heat, metabolic heat. Okay, so the artery that brings blood from the body core, so the temperature of the blood is high, which is around 35 macam tu, kan. So the heat from the artery will be transferred directly to vein. So as the blood flows again, the blood temperature will drop 30. Sebab apa? Dia transfer lagi ke vein, jadi vein akan increase dia punya temperature, kan, akan increase. Tapi artery akan decrease sampai dia reach superficial blood vessels. Okay, blood vessels. So bila dia reach superficial blood vessels, dia reach body extremities, contohnya the feet of this goose, kan. So the artery now will bring blood with very low temperature. So tak ada heat from the blood will be radiated out of the body, kan? So takkan berlaku radiation, kan? Tak akan berlaku convection ke, tak akan berlaku heat loss from the body, alright? Because the heat from the artery is transferred directly to vein and maintained in the body core, macam tu, okay? Sama juga dengan vein. Sama juga dengan dolphin, kan? So the artery will bring body heat, kan? Body heat, high temperature, and then bila artery berlalu dengan vein, so it is transferred directly to vein and back to the body core. Dia takkan reach dekat body extremities, kan? So bila dah reach at the fins area, so the blood temperature is low. So there will be no heat release from the body extremities. It is maintained in the core of the body of that animal. Okay. So that is counter current exchange. Ingat counter current is when you have fluid flows in opposite direction that involve in exchange of something. In this case, is the exchange of heat between artery and vein. Okay. So cooling by the next adaptation is cooling by evaporative heat loss. Okay, cooling by evaporative heat loss. Many types of animals, such as birds or mammal, lose heat through evaporation of water in sweat. Okay. Okay, so ini cooling. Badan awak panas, awak nak hilangkan panas dalam badan awak tu, kan? So that is cooling by evaporative heat loss. So for example, sweating. Okay. So terrestrial animal, what is terrestrial animals? Animals that lives on land, kan? Harimau, kucing, kuda, whatever, manusia, anjing, semua. Okay, so those are terrestrial animals. So lose water by evaporation from their skin and respiratory surfaces. So many terrestrial mammals have sweat glands controlled by the nervous system. Panting increases the cooling effects in birds and also mammals. What is panting? Kalau jumpa anjing tepi jalan tu, kan, dia akan julurkan lidah dia tengah-tengah panas tu. Sebab apa? Dia nak increase surface area, kan? Surface area, so that evaporation occurs to release heat from the body. Okay? Kucing pun akan kadang-kadang panting, kan? Lidah dia terkeluar sikit. Macam tu. Okay, that is panting. Breathing deeply and releasing more heat from the body, macam tu. Okay. So the fourth adaptation, behavioral response. Okay. So for both endotherms and ectotherm, use behavioral responses to control body temperature. Behavior, cara organism to behave untuk control body temperature. Okay. So we have frogs, dragonfly, and also honeybee. For frogs, tadilah, kan, if they want to cool down their body, they will find a shady area. If they want to increase their body temperature, they will seek a more hot rock, for example. Okay, a more exposed to the sun area. Okay. So for dragonfly, so they have oxalic posture. What is oxalic posture? Macam ni, tirus macam ni. Okay, macam tu, right? So oxalic posture that minimizes the amount of body surface that exposed to the sun. So kenapa dia keadaan bertenggek macam ni? To reduce surface area exposed to the sun, so that dia tak, badan dia kecil, kan? So dia tak naklah badan dia serap banyak sangat haba daripada matahari, kan? So they have oxalic posture that minimizes the amount of body surface that exposed to the sun. Honeybees. Okay. So dalam dua keadaan, keadaan yang pertama, keadaan yang kedua. So mechanism dia berbeza. So kalau suhu sejuk in cold weather, so they will increase the temperature, okay, increase heat production by huddled together, thereby retaining the heat. So kalau suhu sejuk, so bees tu dia akan duduk berkerumun macam tu, so that this is huddled, okay, huddled together, so that less surface area will be exposed and the heat is retained in this group of bees. Okay, that is if the temperature is cold. If the temperature is hot, okay, what is the behavior of this animal? They will cool their house the hives by transporting water to the sarang lah, dia punya hives dia. Okay, to the hives. So dia akan bawa air yang banyak, dia akan bawa air dekat dia punya hives dia. Dia tak stop kat situ dia ada tambahan lagi, fanning their wings. Fanning their wings kan. Bila dia fan dia punya wings kan, so dia akan cause evaporation of water, and the water evaporate and serap haba sekali daripada sarang tersebut kan. Itu cara dia fanning their wings lah. Ambil air and then fanning the wing, that cause evaporation and causes the heat loss from the hives. Okay, so ini huddled together of the bee lah to retain heat. Okay, nak reduce heat loss kalau di dalam keadaan yang sejuk. Kalau panas, bawa air and then fanning their wings. Okay, so the fifth adaptation to maintain heat gain and heat loss for animal is adjusting metabolic heat production. Okay, so endotherm control heat production through thermogenesis to match changing rate of heat loss. Okay, heat production and heat loss akan maintain through thermogenesis. So thermogenesis is increased by muscle activity, moving or shivering. Okay, so that is thermogenesis. Genesis apa? Menghasilkan kan, to produce heat. Macam tu kan. So macam mana nak produce heat? Through muscle activities such as moving or shivering. Okay, that is thermogenesis. So for example, a few large reptiles become endothermic. Kita tahu reptiles kan, ular contohnya, dia adalah ectotherm selalunya. Tapi dia boleh jadi endotherm in certain circumstances. Okay, so for example, this Burmese phyton, female saja, female Burmese phyton maintain a body temperature of roughly 6 degrees Celsius above that of the surrounding air during egg incubation. Bila dia nak peram dia punya telur, Burmese phyton ni akan make sure dia, suhu badan dia lebih tinggi daripada surrounding. 6 degrees Celsius lagi tinggi daripada surrounding. Dengan cara apa? Dia akan shiver. Dia akan rapidly shiver. Okay, dia akan increase muscle contraction. Macam tu. Okay. So, and then second example, second example, flying endothermic insects such as bees and moth, okay, have capacity to elevate body temperature. Bees and moth ni adalah insects kan, badan dia kecil. Bila badan dia kecil, bila dia terbang, badan dia akan senang sejuk. Macam tu kan. So, dengan cara dia shiver, kan, dia akan increase muscle activity. So, this is to increase body temperature. Okay, to elevate body temperature semasa dia terbang tu. Okay. So, dia akan increase muscle activity to elevate body temperature during flying. Macam tu. Okay. Tadi adalah muscle activity, thermogenesis. Melibatkan muscle activity. Pythons, insects. Sekarang ni, untuk increase body temperature, thermogenesis, melalui non-shivering. Tadi muscle activity, shivering, moving kan. Ini to increase body temperature through non-shivering, tak melibatkan muscle activities. Okay, so we call it as non-shivering thermogenesis. Does not involve any physical action. Tak ada shivering, tak ada muscle activities. Okay, for this animal. So in some mammals, certain hormones can cause mitochondria to increase their metabolic activity and produce heat. Example, some mammals have tissue called brown fat specialized in rapid heat production. Okay, so this is what we call it as non-shivering thermogenesis. Thermogenesis melibatkan muscle activity. Okay, this one here. B, okay, non-shivering thermogenesis yang melibatkan mitochondria to undergo rapid cellular respiration, increase metabolic rate to increase heat production. Okay, so some mammals have by having tissue called brown fat. Okay, specialized for heat production. So together, non-shivering and shivering thermogenesis, ingat thermogenesis menghasilkan heat. Okay, genesis menghasilkan heat. Okay, thermo enables mammals and birds to increase their metabolic heat production by as much as 5 to 10 times. Okay, so that is adjusting metabolic heat production yang kelima. Yang keenam, okay, the last one, physical thermogenesis. Physical thermostat. So regulation of body temperature in humans and mammals is brought about by a complex system based on feedback mechanism. So in our brain, we have sensor for thermoregulation, which is located at the hypothalamus. We call it as the thermostat. Okay, a group of nerve cells. Okay, which is the thermostat. Thermostat ni in your brain. Okay, which is concentrated at the hypothalamus. So the thermostat, okay, the group of nerve cells is the sensor. Okay, is the sensor. Okay, so thermostat respond to body temperature outside the normal range by activating mechanism that promote heat gain or heat loss. Kan? So dia akan detect suhu badan awak ni drop ke increase, macam tu. So dia akan send information to the brain lah untuk send the corrective mechanism. So normal body temperature is around 37, 36, 37, 38. Okay. So if your body temperature increase, such as when you are exercising, you are very active, for example, okay, or you are in hot surrounding, so it is sent to the thermostat in the hypothalamus. So the hypothalamus is in the brain, will analyze what is happening and initiate the cooling mechanism. Okay, activate the cooling mechanism. So they akan send the brain akan interpret and send the information in the form of impulse, okay, and causes blood vessels to dilate, kan? So blood vessels in the skin dilate. Tadi apa dilate? Bila dilate, more blood flow. Okay, more blood flow, more heat is along with the blood flow, and causes more heat to radiate from the skin. Okay, release heat from the skin. Release it through radiation lah, kan, from daripada badan awak. So capillaries fill with warm blood, heat radiates from skin surface. And then another mechanism is cause sweat gland to secrete sweat and causes evaporation that cools down the body. Okay, so this will drop back your body temperature back to the normal set point. Tu kalau increase. Kalau decrease, ni situation yang pertama. Situation yang kedua, if your body temperature decrease, dekat tempat yang sejuk, kan, duduk dalam peti ais awak contohnya. Okay, so that is detected by the thermostat. Okay, thermostat in the hypothalamus activate warming mechanism. So this causes blood vessels to constrict. So kan, duduk dalam peti ais sejuk, so awak akan the blood vessels akan constrict to reduce blood flow and reduce heat loss through radiation, okay, from the skin. And also it initiate shivering, kan, muscle contract and it causes shivering, which generate heat and causes body temperature to increase back to the normal set point. Okay, so those are the 6 adaptation of animals to maintain heat gain and heat loss from the body. Okay, so that's the end of this chapter. Okay, so I hope you gain some